Hello. It's been, about a week, or no, more than a week, since my last post video. I had intended to make another video over the past week, but I've been ill. I've been hit by this flu-y bug thing. Sod's law, every time I want to go for or need to go for a flu jab at my doctor's, just before I can get it, I actually get the bloody thing, so happened again. And the problem with that was it walloped my heart problem that I've already got, which I'm waiting to be sorted out still, almost a year now. I've been pretty useless for a week really, which has been hard for me because I like to be out and about. I hate sitting and staring at the same four walls. This just drives me round the bend, to be honest, after years of having to do it on the dole and that much choice. But anyway, I'm here. Sorry, itchy, itchy moustache. Sounds like a prog rock band, doesn't it? Itchy moustache. So I was going to talk about Brexit and all this sort of stuff, and I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm sick of that. I'm sick. I'm sick to bloody death of the whole thing. I just want it over and done with, so I'll never have to hear about it again. Probably like you. But then at the same time, I don't want people who voted to leave and won the vote to be cheated of their vote. Just as I wouldn't want, if it had gone the other way, if people that voted to remain had won, I wouldn't want them cheated. So I am bothered about that, as I'm sure you are. But let's not talk about that today. Maybe if it happens on the 31st, maybe talk about it then. So I can't remember if I mentioned in the last video, which was my first one for a while, because I just got the tech, because all the stuff I was using to make videos before that, both my Kindle Fires both just launched themselves, and had to be chucked. So I could only afford one recently, and this is it. So I'm after almost a year of universal credit. I've recently come off of it, and I've come off of it to go back into full-time education, to do 3 years of my PhD now, which sounds weird every time I say it, because believe me, the last person in the world I thought would ever be doing a PhD is this fella. In fact, the last person I thought in the world would be going to college or let alone uni is me, to be honest. Really not what I planned, but it's how it's turned out. It's just a bit weird. So altogether I think I will have spent about 6 or 7 years altogether now in further education, college and university altogether, not all at once, interspersed with years of visits to the dole, unfortunately, but also years of volunteering as well, constantly everywhere I can really. So it's not been wasted time, it's just been unpaid time where I've had no money. So anyway, I'm back now. I've just switched over, and this is what I'm going to talk about, because yesterday I found something out which was a nasty shock, and I've realised something that I don't think the DWP and the job centres are telling people, and I think they're doing this on purpose, to be honest, because they have plenty of opportunity to tell me about this and never have. So I'm spreading the information for you, especially if you're on universal credit or you know someone on universal credit who's about to come off, or you're about to come off to go into work, or to go into, like me, into full-time education. There's a bit of a shock waiting for you, I'm afraid, unless you know already. And it's this. So I'll try and explain. I'll try and explain without being too long-winded and too confusing. So when you sign on to Universal Credit, same as with Job Seekers Allowance or ESO or anything else, you make your claim, and then your claim starts on a certain date. So your claim goes live on whatever date of the month it is. So for me, it was the 5th of November last year. So the 5th of the month is the important date on Universal Credit. And don't forget now, so Universal Credit, you'll notice if you're on it, but whereas with JSA it used to be paid fortnightly, on Universal Credit you're paid monthly. So you're assessed, your eligibility to be paid each month is assessed month to month rather than fortnight to fortnight, which is what used to happen on JSA. And what they do is, so with me, because mine went live on the 5th of that month, my assessments were from the 5th of one month to the 5th of the next month, so a whole month basically. And then all the stuff I'd done, which you have to upload onto the Universal Credit sort of website thing, your login page, with all the stuff you've done to look for work, to satisfy your claimant commitment, and the amount of hours that you've put in, because it has to be 35 a week, I think. They have to be satisfied you've done that each and every week for that month, or else they won't release your payment for the month. It's just gone. So that's all pretty straightforward. If you don't do that, obviously you get a reduced payment, or you don't get a payment, or you get a sanction, basically, which is always the worry. I managed to avoid that this time, just about. But the longer you're on, obviously, the more chance you've got of not meeting that requirement each time. So I was relieved to get off of Universal Credit and into full-time education, because that's a stress, that's a pressure off you then. I thought. So obviously each month you go in for what they call, work search review. So basically you go into the job centre and you don't sign anything anymore. You don't sign like for the month anymore like you used to do. But your work coach has a look at all the stuff you've written about what you've done for that previous month, to see that they're satisfied that you've done enough, basically. And then they tick whatever they tick on the computer, whatever. But then someone, God knows where, somewhere else in the country, actually has sort of, some sort of DWP call centre-y thing or whatever, office, actually releases your payment after they've sort of said it's fine, So that's what happens each month. So I'd go in a different time of month or whatever, but obviously it'd be after the 5th, because I think it's 5th to 5th for me it was. For you it'll be a different date, and depends when yours went live. And then 6 days later, usually every month on the 11th, I'd get paid if they were happy with it, So it comes to my last, or what's supposed to be my last full month payment before I switch from Universal Credit to full-time education. So I get a full payment from the 5th of August to the 5th of September, and then the month starts again from the 5th of September, but then I'm not doing a full month because university starts, and my student loan first payment of the student loan starts on the 23rd of September. It's always late September the uni starts, really. So obviously I made them aware of this. I'd made them aware of it. I'd discussed this at every single meeting with my 2 different work coaches, actually, for at least 2.5 months before it happened, probably 3 months before it happened. On the 20th of September, he even brought in, for a special meeting between us, brought in the actual student loan letter with all the payment dates on it, so they could scan it, so they got something, a hard copy there to say that I'm going to be, doing doing something else, so I can't claim universal credit anymore. Sorry if you can hear music, I'm just a bit of Wagner. So, they've been aware of this for 3 months at least, that this was happening, and when, basically, and certainly when for the last month. So, of course, what I was expecting was from the 5th of September, when I'm assessed on September, to the 22nd of September, so 2 and a bit weeks, so not the full month anymore, but 2 and a bit weeks, the last sort of bit. I'm doing all my usual stuff each week for those 2 weeks to fulfill my claimant commitment, 35 hours a week, job search, all this sort of stuff, putting it all up there. And of course then expecting on the 11th of October, bearing in mind I've been paid on 11th of October, which would have been the next payment date, to then receive my sort of last 2 weeks' pay, basically. That's what happens on job seekers allowance. If you're signing off with that and that, to do the same stuff. That's always what's happened whenever I've been signing on. Turns out yesterday, which was the 11th of October, I checked my bank account. Of course it's not there. And, this isn't money that if you're not on universal credit, this isn't money you sort of spend, you think, well, great, I'll go and have a few pints down the pub, and, this is stuff you're living on, you completely depend upon, you've budgeted for to live on. There's no spare, there's no extra. And I'm living in a house with my mum and sister who are disabled, who are also living on what, the meagre amount they get from the DWP. So there's no spare money here. We all rely on what each of us can get in, basically. So it's tight all the time. And of course with the switch it's still tight. Even though I've got a student loan, the student loan works out as actually less per week than I was getting on universal credit, so things are even tighter anyway. So anyway, it's not there. I then scrabble around trying to find some phone number I can. So bearing in mind now, they've closed my universal credit account, so I can't actually get into my account. So you can't speak to them the way you usually would, which is through this message box thing. I don't have a phone number for it, because there's specific phone numbers for universal credit. They won't talk to you. If you phone the job centre, they'll talk to you about job seekers allowance or ESA, PIP, I think attendance allowance, all that sort of stuff. But they will not talk to you. They say they will not talk to you about universal credit. That's a separate thing as far as I'm concerned, dealt with somewhere else. I couldn't find a phone number. Out of desperation, I just happened to try and log in to my old account online, and what it does is, even though the account's shut, it brings up, it lets you see your sort of historic what they call work search notes, so you can still see them, you just can't write anything or do anything or contact anybody on the system. And I notice that when I went to see her on the 20th, which was a sort of I'm coming off universal credit sort of thing, here's the letter sort of thing like that. I noticed that when I got home on the 20th, she'd obviously, this is my work search coach, she'd obviously uploaded some letter to my account, which she hadn't told me about she was going to do. I had no idea it was there, not a bloody clue. It just says something like, you have now signed, your account's now been closed, here's a link, this is a link that you might want to read, and it's some sort of gobbledygook, it doesn't say what it is. So I'm trying to find a phone number here at this point. I click on this link thinking maybe there's a phone number or something, and it brings up a letter, an actual sort of scanned letter, which says, it's got a phone number on it for universal credit, which is great, but then the letter says, This is to inform you that your universal credit account is now closed, and then in smaller letters underneath, you will not be paid any more money. First thing, and I'm thinking, well, obviously that's wrong. And it says on it it's been closed on the 5th. I thought, well, that's wrong too, because I came in on the 20th, gave you the schedule of payments letter that shows you that I didn't start until the 23rd. So why would I be closed on the 5th? I should be paid up until the 23rd. There's two and a bit weeks. I phoned the phone number, thinking they got this wrong. Should have known better after dealing with these bastards all these years. Get through to the usual sort of type fella, and I explain all this, and I say, you've made a mistake. I've got 2 and a bit weeks left that obviously I was supposed to be paid today, and I was counting on. And the response was, "Oh no," as if I'm, mad or something, or an idiot. "Oh no, we don't do that on Universal Credit. Universal Credit doesn't do that." And I said, "What do you mean doesn't do that? What? Why would none of them mention that to me? If that's the case, over the past 2.5, 3 months when they've known I'm going back, and on the last appointment on the 20th, specifically to discuss all of this, signing off of Universal Credit and the money and my student loan, all this sort of stuff, I said, no one's mentioned this once. What are you talking about?" And he said, no, we don't. So it's obviously a rule they've built in, the Tories, these bastards, that they're obviously telling people in job centres not to tell you about. If your work search coach, or your coach or whatever, has told you about it, please comment below and let me know, because I'd love to know which job centre you're at that they're telling you. But my hunch now is well, it's not a hunch, because it was just, I've got a letter uploaded that I've been told nothing about. I had no hard copy sent. I've never not had an actual letter sent to my house telling me that it's been closed. I haven't had one. This was sort of shiftily uploaded onto this old closed down, account of mine, which isn't supposed to be any use anymore, basically, without being told about it, and no hard copy. That's just odd. I'm sorry. And they haven't told me. One person told me about 2 job centre coaches, for 3 months. No one told me. That's not a mistake, is it? That's not by mistake. So basically, there's a bite in the arse at the end, a big bite in the arse at the end that you don't find out about. I didn't find out about it until I just happened to have phoned up and finally found a phone number, phoned up, and they tell you. So obviously I got very angry, because I'm thinking I've just been shafted. And I've just found out too late that I've been shafted. Because of course, if the whole nonsense about this is obviously not telling people, because people will be getting angry, because it's nonsense. It's like you working in a job, switching jobs, and then the previous one doesn't pay you for the gap between your last pay date and when you left. It's who does that? It's total crap. It's not logical. It's not sensible. It doesn't make any sense at all. But of course, it's the Tories. They want to fuck you because you're poor and they hate you, or you're not rich like them and they fucking hate you and me. And I'm someone who looks into this. I'm someone who's been a CAP advisor for 2.5 years. I'm someone who sort of, generally knows about the rules and the changes and the differences between JSA and UC. Never heard about this before, and obviously was never told about it when I went there every single bleeding month, at least every other week, most of the time. So yeah, I'm still cross, because of course it's totally to me up for this at least this week. Whereas it's just like a transition week, then financially, because me and my family have budgeted for this, whatever it was, £80 or whatever, something like that, to see us through this week or whatever, which we haven't got now. So once again, belt tightening when the belt's not got a bleeding notch left on it. So yeah, I'm now doing all I can to just warn everybody else, or anybody I can who might be on universal credit, that this is what's happening. So if you're coming off, if you know someone who's coming off and they haven't been told this, get them to ask, specifically ask at the job centre and find out. If they're lied to, make a complaint. If they're told the truth, they're told the truth. So at least you can budget, because this is, this is what aggressive anger is. If at least if I was told about it for those 2-3 months, of course I would have been cross, because it's not fair, it's not right, you're getting shafted by your own government, by literally by government. But at least I could have budgeted for it. We could have budgeted for it, because we'd know we wouldn't have it. So you could budget for it somehow, So that's it really. Even though think you've finished and left universal credit and relieved, there's one big kick in the arse at the end of it. What do you expect? What do you expect? We know what it's like with these murderous Tory bastards. Pardon, I'm sorry, I don't swear, but that's what I think. That's a pretty accurate and fair English word to describe. So yeah, comment as you see fit below. Let me know what your experience of this has been, or what you think about this. If you knew about it, if you didn't know about it and are worried, and yeah, please spread the word. I was always a bit confused, because I know Tories, right? When they started talking about what was it, a welfare and benefits overhaul, I thought, this is to shaft people and save money. You know what I mean? This is nothing. There's nothing wrong with JSA apart from the sanctions part of it, and it's not enough money. But I thought they want to save money, and then when I saw it sort of rolled out and that, I thought, well, actually, this isn't a lot less money than I was getting on JSA, so I don't really understand. Obviously there's a month rather than 2 weeks and all this sort of stuff, and there was the paying to housing benefit part to you, not the landlords originally, and the 6 weeks rather than 4-week wait and all that. But I thought, I can't see where they're substantially saving money. This is the bit. This is where they're saving the money. Imagine how much they're saving by not paying people. Because for me, it's been 2 weeks. If I was, like I say, mine was the 5th to the 5th. If I hadn't started until, the 1st of October, that would be almost an entire month's worth that I hadn't got. If it's the day before the 5th, you haven't. I can't remember what you called the actual period. It was the assessment period or whatever for that. You haven't reached the assessment period for that month, so you would have lost an entire month's worth of money. Yeah, so there we are. That's it for now. It's nearly already 25 minutes and I wanted to be out of 10. So ciao for now, take care of yourselves, and see you next time. Bye.